The Nintendo Switch 2 is finally out, and even though we're still in the early stages of its generation, the updates just keep rolling in, and not all of them are good. From mounting concerns about its display to the controversial shift toward game key cards instead of full physical cartridges, there's plenty to unpack. At Technology Review, we've been digging into everything from hands-on impressions to industry feedback to bring you a clearer picture of what's going on behind the glossy marketing. Let's dive into the changing landscape of Switch 2 and the decisions that are shaping its future. A new era for physical games? The original Switch was praised for offering flexibility. Gamers could go digital or stick to traditional cartridges. With the Switch 2, that freedom appears to be under threat. Many of the third-party titles currently arriving on store shelves are doing so in the form of game key cards. These are essentially boxes with a placeholder card that initiates a download, meaning the game isn't actually stored on the physical medium itself. For collectors and those with limited bandwidth, this has sparked major backlash. But now there's a spark of hope. A publisher, Lost in Cult, is stepping forward and making its stance clear. They want to deliver full physical cartridge releases for the Switch 2. According to Ryan Brown from the company, there's a growing demand among consumers, and they're ready to meet it. It's a commendable initiative, but how feasible is it really? The cost behind the cartridge. Currently, rumors suggest that a 64GB Switch 2 cartridge costs developers around $16 to $17. That's a steep price, especially when you consider the tight profit margins on most physical game releases. For smaller developers, and even some mid-sized third-party studios, that kind of cost can eat into the bottom line in a serious way. That's likely why we're seeing such a heavy tilt toward game key cards. Developers want the exposure of retail without the financial burden of larger cartridges. But this strategy might backfire if gamers begin avoiding key card titles altogether. If traditional cartridges sell significantly better, we might see more publishers willing to take the hit, or Nintendo could step in and offer more cartridge size options at better rates. Titles like Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, which may feature the entire game on a cartridge, according to new promotional material, are a possible sign that the tide is slowly turning. The transparency on the box art and deviation from the typical key card disclaimer gives fans a glimmer of hope. If this trend continues and companies like Sega follow suit, it could push more developers to reconsider their release strategy. Display controversy, a step forward or back. Just when gamers thought they had a handle on the Switch 2's capabilities, Digital Foundry dropped a deep technical review that shook confidence in the system's display. The verdict? The LCD panel used in the new Switch may have more ghosting and motion blur than even the original model. That's a serious claim, especially when you consider how much has changed in display technology since the first Switch. But to be fair, there are a few caveats. While the LCD display is an OLED, and yes, it lacks that incredible contrast ratio, it is brighter in many cases and still represents a noticeable improvement in general sharpness and clarity. For most gamers, especially those playing in docked mode, the difference might not be that noticeable. However, in handheld mode, fast-moving visuals, like those in side-scrolling games or racing titles, could exhibit blur that's hard to ignore for more sensitive eyes. For casual users, it may not be a big deal. But for those expecting the best in motion performance, it's a letdown. There's now increased speculation that Nintendo could be planning an OLED refresh down the line, just as it did with the original Switch. That version might be 2 to 3 years away, but it's something worth considering before jumping into a purchase. Metroid Prime 4, a marketing mishap. It's rare for a major company like Nintendo to have a blunder on this scale, but a recent advertising hiccup led many to believe that Metroid Prime 4 had been stealth-launched. Posters in the London Underground featured the tagline, "Out now, next to Metroid Prime 4, causing a storm of speculation online." Was this a massive leak? A shadow drop? A stealth direct announcement? Not quite. Nintendo confirmed that it was simply a printing mistake, an incorrect copy-paste from another game's campaign. The corrected posters now display the actual release window, 2025. Still, this mix-up served as a reminder of just how hungry fans are for new content and concrete release dates. With Metroid Prime 4 being in development for what feels like an eternity, every small signal, whether it's a rumor, a poster, or a Twitter post, is put under a microscope. One thing is certain. When Prime 4 finally launches, it'll be under spotlight. Whether it can break through into the mainstream as a megaseller depends on how Nintendo positions it. But early signs show that the Switch 2 could be its most promising platform yet. Nintendo Direct. Where is it? The Nintendo community has become exceptionally good at reading the tea leaves. Case in point, an unpinned tweet from Nintendo of America has sparked a wave of theories, suggesting that a Nintendo Direct is imminent. Traditionally, June is the big showcase month, and the absence of a pinned post from a major publisher is enough to raise eyebrows. While it's possible this was just a lapse in social media management, fans are hoping that it signals a direct announcement. Given the number of titles still without solid release dates, Elden Ring, Dragon Drive, and even Borderlands 4, there's a real need for Nintendo to step up and clarify its calendar. Rumors point to a direct event happening in July. Whether it's a full presentation or just a partner showcase remains to be seen, but there's definitely momentum building towards some kind of summer reveal. And considering how many games were shown during earlier teaser trailers without follow-up, it makes sense for Nintendo to consolidate its message in a larger showcase. The path forward. Nintendo finds itself at a crossroads. On one hand, the Switch 2 is a logical continuation of the original formula. Hybrid gameplay, strong first-party support, and a growing third-party ecosystem. On the other hand, decisions like relying heavily on game keycards and using lower-end LCD tech may end up causing friction with its core fan base. Still, it's early. If the company listens to feedback, something it has done before, and adapts accordingly, there's plenty of room to grow. Lower-cost cartridges, future hardware refreshes, and better third-party alignment could elevate the Switch too far beyond what the original model achieved. In the meantime, all eyes are on Nintendo. Whether it's for updates on Metroid Prime 4, clarity on upcoming game releases, or the announcement of the next Direct, the next few months could shape the long-term success of the platform. At Technology Review, we'll be covering every new twist in the story. Stay tuned, because the world of Switch 2 is only just beginning to unfold.